There's a quiet shift happening in the world of interior design, a movement away from excess, away from overwhelming statements, and towards something far more intentional. Spaces are becoming softer, more refined, more thoughtful. And yet, they feel richer than ever before. Because today, luxury is no longer defined by how much you fill a space, but by how carefully you choose what belongs in it. And within these calm, neutral interiors, something powerful begins to emerge. Not loud, not overpowering, but precise. Color. Where today, we explore the power of pops of color in modern minimalist interiors, where restraint meets expression, and where the smallest details carry the greatest impact. The calm before color. Everything begins with stillness. A quiet, grounded foundation that allows the eye to rest before it begins to explore. Soft, warm neutrals stretch across the space, creamy whites, delicate ivories, layers of beige and taupe that feel both effortless and deeply intentional. These tones don't compete for attention. Instead, they create harmony. Walls become a backdrop rather than a statement. Floors, often finished in natural oak or light wood, bring warmth without heaviness. Upholstered pieces, sofas, chairs, and benches blend seamlessly into this palette, wrapped in linen, cotton, and soft woven textures. There is a sense of openness here. Not because the space is empty, but because it is uncluttered. Every element has room to exist, to breathe. And that breathing space is what allows the design to feel expansive, even when the footprint is modest. Light plays an essential role in shaping this calm. It moves gently across surfaces, touching a plaster wall, softening the edges of furniture, reflecting subtly off a stone countertop. As it shifts throughout the day, it reveals new layers within the neutrals. A beige is never just beige. An ivory is never flat. There are undertones, shadows, warmth and coolness existing at the same time. And within this restrained palette, the absence of strong color becomes intentional. It creates anticipation. Because when everything is calm, even the smallest introduction of color becomes powerful. Where color begins to speak. Color, in these interiors, is not introduced all at once. It arrives slowly, almost quietly. A soft cushion resting against a neutral sofa, a ceramic object placed thoughtfully on a clean surface, a single piece of artwork that draws the eye without overwhelming it. These are the moments where color begins to speak. But it doesn't shout. It doesn't dominate. It communicates through subtlety. Muted tones take the lead, dusty blues, softened greens, gentle terracottas, faded blushes. These colors feel lived in, slightly desaturated, and deeply refined. They don't disrupt the calm, they enhance it. A dusty blue, for instance, introduces coolness without feeling cold. A muted olive green carries a natural, grounding presence. A soft clay tone adds warmth without becoming heavy. And when placed within a neutral environment, these colors gain presence. Not because they are bold, but because everything around them is quiet. This is contrast in its most refined form. Not black and white. Not dramatic opposites. But subtle differentiation. A shift in tone. A variation in depth. And the eye notices. It lingers, because these small moments of color feel intentional, never accidental. They are placed with care, often in areas where the eye naturally rests. A corner. A surface. A focal point that doesn't demand attention, but receives it. And through this approach, color becomes something more than visual. It becomes emotional. Layering without clutter. What makes these interiors feel rich, without ever feeling overwhelming, is the art of layering. But this isn't layering through excess. It's not about adding more. It's about adding better. Each layer is intentional. Each material is chosen not just for how it looks, but for how it feels. Soft linen drapes fall effortlessly beside large windows, diffusing natural light into a gentle glow. Upholstered surfaces carry a tactile quality, slightly textured, inviting to the touch, never overly polished. A smooth stone surface meets a woven textile. A matte ceramic object rests against a subtly reflective finish. Warm wood tones ground cooler materials, creating balance. And within these layers, color is woven in. Not applied on top, but integrated into the experience. A muted sage cushion isn't just a color choice, it's a texture, a softness, a quiet contrast against a structured sofa. A clay-toned vessel isn't just decorative, it introduces depth, warmth, and a handcrafted imperfection that makes the space feel human. Even the smallest elements contribute to this layering. A folded throw. A slightly crinkled fabric. The edge of a rug just visible beneath furniture. Nothing feels overly styled. And that's the point. Because true elegance often lies in what feels natural, not staged. The restraint in these spaces allows every layer to be seen, to be appreciated. There's no visual competition. No clutter to distract the eye. Instead, there's clarity. And within that clarity, every detail gains importance. Light as a design element. Light, in these interiors, is not just functional. It is foundational. It shapes how color is perceived, how textures are revealed, and how the entire space is experienced. Natural light is prioritized wherever possible, entering through expansive windows, sliding across surfaces, and shifting throughout the day. It softens edges, brightens neutrals, and enhances the quiet complexity of muted tones. A dusty blue may feel airy in the morning light, yet deeper and more grounded by evening. A soft terracotta can glow warmly under golden hour sunlight, then settle into a more subdued, earthy tone as night approaches. This constant transformation gives the space a sense of movement, subtle, but powerful. And when artificial lighting is introduced, it follows the same philosophy of restraint. Warm, diffused lighting replaces harsh brightness. Pendant lights hover gently above surfaces, casting soft pools of light. Wall sconces create delicate shadows, adding dimension without distraction. Table lamps introduce intimacy, small pockets of warmth within a larger, calm environment. Even the finishes of lighting fixtures are considered. Brushed brass adds a quiet glow. Matte black introduces contrast without shine. Soft metallics reflect just enough light to feel elevated, never overwhelming. And within this carefully balanced lighting, color continues to evolve. It shifts. It deepens. It softens. proving that color is not static, it's alive, constantly responding to its surroundings. A quiet expression of luxury. What defines luxury in these interiors is not abundance. It is intention. There is a quiet confidence in spaces that don't need to prove themselves. Where nothing feels excessive, yet everything feels complete. Color, when used in this way, becomes a signature rather than a statement. A muted palette allows personal expression without disrupting harmony. A single accent can carry meaning. A carefully chosen tone can define the mood of an entire space. And because these colors are not overwhelming, they allow for flexibility. They evolve. They shift with seasons, with light, with lifestyle. A soft blush today may become a deeper clay tomorrow. A sage accent may be replaced with a muted olive. The foundation remains timeless, while the details adapt. This is what makes these interiors sustainable, not just in materials, but in design. They don't rely on trends. They rely on balance. And within that balance, there is a sense of calm that extends beyond aesthetics. It becomes a way of living. A slower pace. A clearer environment. A deeper connection to the space you inhabit. Because when a space is not overwhelming, it allows you to feel more present within it. And that is the true power of thoughtful design. As you move through spaces like these, one thing becomes clear: you don't need bold, overpowering color to create impact. You don't need excess to create beauty. Sometimes, all it takes is a calm foundation, a thoughtful layer, and a single, intentional pop of color. Because in the end, it's not about how much you add. It's about how well you understand what truly matters. Thank you for spending time with Homey Studio. If this inspired your vision of modern minimalist living, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more timeless design inspiration. And until next time, create spaces that feel calm, intentional, and uniquely yours.